Welcome back to Fan Talk. I'm David.
I'm Simon.
And today we're going to be talking about everything that happened at D23.
Yeah, Disney Expo happened last weekend. Well, first of all, let's start with the elephant that was in the room when it started. A slight lovers feud between Sony and Marvel.
And you know, we've talked a little bit about this, the whole Spider-Man Sony business, and you know, my opinion is still that they're going to work things out and come back together. But as of right now, Feige and Holland and Sony are all three saying that without fail, the next Spider-Man movie will be done by Sony.
Right, and won't necessarily be part of the MCU.
Yeah.
Now, if it's not contradictory, it could always be retconned back in possibly afterwards or decided upon. But yeah, it looks like they're going to fly kind of solo. It might be, I don't know if they have any script or ideas of basing it off of yet.
Well, basically, from everything that I've read and the people I've talked to, says that the Spider-Man film, there was already stuff in place for the script. Craven is more than likely still going to be the villain. There's a lot of discussion on who the actor is going to be, strongly leading towards Momoa, which I think would make an excellent Craven.
And it's also a little bit of a sticking it to DC, but
we'll see what happens. He's a strong favorite from what I hear. We'll see what happens. You know, so, and they've said that they're not going to go against anything that Feige has set up in the Spider-Man movies. So, like, they're going to follow the storyline that's been set up so far.
That's good because Sony doesn't have a great track history of making a third Spider-Man movie.
But you know, the whole thing is that they do have their own thing going. They still have the rights to Morbius the Living Vampire, which is coming out soon. Jared Leto signed on to play Morbius. We got, you know, the Venom 2 movie, which is in the works, and now Spider-Man 3.
And there could be a possibility of some crossovers now with Holland, Spider-Man, and Venom, which would be outside the MCU, but fans could consider it to be part of that, even if it wasn't official. It's just some interesting things on that. And then they brought Spider-Man back in. That could then make some changes.
And Spider-Man has fought Morbius before, too. I mean, Spider-Man has lots of enemies. And there's a lot of stuff from the Amazing Spider-Man that they were setting up for Sinister Six film. I think they invested too much time and money into doing a Sinister Six film to not do that. So I feel like that's something that we still very well may see.
But I don't think there'll be the Spider-Man 3.
No. At very best, you'd see it in 4, and I don't think that we're going to see that either. I think in the Spider-Man 4, which is a done thing as well as far as it is going to be made. And it's sounding like that probably is not going to be anything to do with Marvel either. But, you know, they have said that, you know, it's not as bad as everybody thinks. At some point in time, we can get back together, and it is not out of realm of possibility to see Spider-Man in the MCU again. But for right now, it's dead in the water, and that's not going to change.
I get the feeling that this isn't, unless they're really covering up with some good PR on both sides, which could be the case. I don't think that there's, like, you know, anybody just outright sore at each other. Like, it's basically like, no, we just can't find the middle ground on where to move forward.
Really what it all boils down to is that, you know, everybody knew that this was a short time thing. Disney really wanted Spider-Man because they had a certain storyline in mind and a certain place they were wanting to go. And they got him for that. And they originally thought they were going to keep moving forward with it. The possibility was that they could, but they couldn't find that common ground. And let's not lie, folks. This has a lot to do with money, and it has a lot to do with, you know, they have Spider-Man. They're wanting to do Spider-Man movies, and let's be honest, Marvel is knocking out of the park with these superhero films, and now they've gotten a little bit of insight after working with them on what they're doing right. And I feel like Sony thinks that they can honestly do a good film and that they might not really need Marvel to.
I get that, and I think they're each misreading the other's strengths and weaknesses. On one side, Disney / Marvel has had an amazing 22, 23 movie run of movies. That's to their credit. All their bigs are gone for the most part now, except for Spider-Man, which now they, obviously still Sony. And they're doing Phase 4, mostly building off of new things, untried things. And we don't know if we hope it's all going to continue to work, but there's no guarantee. And I think Disney was hoping to keep Spider-Man around as kind of to help kind of prop up a little bit of that. On Sony's side, they're, as you just said, they're like, okay, we've gotten some extra, practice now. We've kind of seen what works, what doesn't. We can do this on our own. So they're thinking they have a bigger position of strength. Also thinking that from, Disney's like, okay, well, the bigger ones kind of retire. They need Spider-Man more than we need them now. Disney did the arc with Spider-Man and Civil War through the Endgame, and so they don't have any need directly for Spider-Man until the next big team overs later on. So right now, Disney, all they're doing is loaning out their characters and ideas to Sony for the Spider-Mans. So Disney's thinking that they should be able to charge more on their end of the bargain for that.
Yeah.
And also Disney's saying that Sony has historically screwed up Spider-Man, lack of a better word, at some point. Either Spider-Man 3 on the Raimi series, not performing very well on the Garfield series, like those were in the 700 millions worldwide. Meanwhile, the Holland ones have been like $1 billion or more around those. So Disney's saying that $300 million difference as because of them. Mm-hmm. So they think that they should be entitled to earn a portion of that. Yeah. And then also, finally, Disney was offering to okay, we'll help you out like in 50% of the cost of it to reduce risks for you, but we want to have a bigger chunk of the profits.
50% is what they were asking for.
Which I think that is overdoing it, but it sounds like a starting negotiating position.
Yeah.
So I'm coming at this I'm not blaming Disney, I'm not blaming Sony, I'm blaming both of them for misreading the other one's strengths and weaknesses.
Well, I also feel like it's that Disney doesn't really feel like they need them, and Sony, I feel like, they really feel like they got something going off of what's already there, and that they can ride that roller coaster. And I'm not taking anything away from Sony, and definitely not from Tom Holland. He's definitely my favorite Spider-Man. Yeah. And I think whatever they do, I think it's going to do well. I think that it'll be awesome. I'm still going to go watch the Spider-Man movies, and I'm hoping that it's successful. But you hit a nail on the head when you said that they did their Spider-Man arc, and they were really done with it. I mean, they've even hinted at D12. There was some talk, D23, sorry, that that when the next Avenger movie comes on, which isn't supposed to be until 2023, mm-hmm. right? That by that time there might be another talk, So then even saying that there might be another talk by the time the Avengers comes out in 2023 leads me to believe that they're getting the team back together, or some characters from the team that they might like to have Spider-Man show up for that. And at that point in time, I would not be surprised if another deal is reached, because once again, there's just too much money in it.
Right.
To go back to one of the other things you said, though, that I do kind of disagree with is that, you're talking about they're got a lot of new characters and that they're trying things that haven't been tried before, and there's no guarantee. You're right, there is no guarantee, but you have to think that this whole thing started off with wishful hopes. I mean, Iron Man was not what you would consider to be a strong character as far to start off a series with. He was a popular character in the comics, yes, but I mean, they had to go deeper into their roster because Spider-Man was gone, Hulk was gone, Fantastic Four was gone, a lot of these other big names were gone, and so Iron Man was their best bet, and they came out and it was fantastic. And then Captain America.
The odds on favor all these movies that they have lined up.
So I mean,
do well,
these new characters. I mean, I remember when the Ant-Man movie was going to come out, I was like, I was kind of excited about that, and then I was really kind of surprised they went with Lang's Ant-Man instead of Pym's, because Pym's Ant-Man, as far as the comic book looks concerned, was a very dark character. He was very not your normal hero. I mean, he was abusive to his wife. He was an alcoholic. I mean, there's a lot of things in there that could have made for a really interesting character. They kind of put that in the side note and went with Lang's Ant-Man, which was fantastic. I went and watched it, loved it.
Yeah.
And then same thing, Doctor Strange. You're like, man, how are they going to make this old doctor that does magic entertaining? And
give him a bad American accent, and he's fantastic.
Yeah, amazing. And and then again, Guardians of the Galaxy. That was probably my favorite superhero movie to date. Is the original Guardians of the Galaxy. Second was great too. Those characters is perfect. And so again, now we're going into 4, where we're going to have a lot of new things that they're trying, and I think that that build that you're talking about, that's what they need to do.
They need to do it.
They need to start with new characters and start building the next wave, the next thing, and that's going to be the Eternals. That's going to be Shang-Chi. That's going to be Moon Knight. These series that are coming out and these new movies are going to be building up, and they still do have some characters. You think Black Panther was one of the highest grossing, Marvel movies. It was fantastic. It did great. Thor's still around. Guardians of the Galaxy are still around. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out. So
one thing I also wanted to touch on as well, I think Sony might be, and this is once again goes to the same thing as Disney, are all these going to perform as expected? Sony thinking like, I got this, is Venom did incredibly well.
Yes.
It was not expected to. It's kind of a lightning in the bottle as far as like combination of Tom Hardy, the Venom character, people wanting to see it. It's not a guarantee that the sequel will do as well. Gotta wait till it happens, really. Mm-hmm. And then 2, Into the Spider-Verse, which are now also doing a spin-off of that with Gwen's Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen,
The thing is, the Spider-Verse, while it did well and it turned a profit, it did not do the kind of money that is anywhere close to what a Spider-Man live-action movie does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I think, a fifth of what live-action Spider-Man do. So they can't, be banking. They have a lot rolling on the fact that they have this one major IP, Spider-Man, Sony does. And they can't be putting out 3 or 4 Spider-Man movies a year and expect everyone to still be like, oh, I'm going to go see this one too. I mean, they're going to go in the same possible problem that Solo had, where it's kind of too many things all at once and people lost some interest in it.
Yeah, and that's true. And the thing is they only have so much to work with. Like, yes, they do have Marvel Still Living Vampire coming out, and then the Venom. And there's some other
Spider-Verse 2.
Yeah, there's some other things they can do, but they are focused a lot on things dealing with Spider-Man and his enemies. And trying to make something out of all that. Like, originally they were going to do a Sinister Six film, so it wasn't actually a Spider-Man film. It was a film, like, on the Sinister Six, and I'm sure Spider-Man was going to have a part in that.
Like Reverse or Suicide Squad.
Kind of thing. And so, there's things that they can do, but at some point, you don't want to oversaturate the pond, so to speak. So,
I think both sides are going to have something to learn over the next 2 years on this, and they'll come back together maybe a little wiser and about where both of their realistic prospects were on this whole thing. Yeah. And hopefully things aren't screwed up enough that we have to see Uncle Ben die again.
That's the one thing everybody's afraid of, is that they're going to do some kind of a reboot or backstory. They don't need to, and I think that Sony's smarter than that. I don't think we need to worry about any of that. I really think that Spider-Man 3 is going to come out, and I think when that comes out, it's going to settle everybody a little bit. Feel like, okay, this is still good stuff. We're still moving forward, and we'll see what other stuff Sony puts out.
And if there's any other secrets about the things as they move forward before they come out, we'll just check in on Tom Holland's interviews from time to time and see what he's puts out.
I was actually really proud of him and Feige's little interviews that they did. They did really well. It was funny though, I was reading, Holland kept looking off camera, and it was because there's a whole crew over there, like, basically, like, advising him, don't screw this up. But moving on, there was a lot of other things there that came out. We were talking, obviously.
We'll stick with some Marvel stuff for now.
Some Marvel stuff for now.
I got Moon Knight, sorry.
Moon Knight, man.
I risked my own.
What the heck?
He's moonlighting.
He's moonlighting. No, Moon Knight, which is a character that is really popular in the Marvel series as far as kind of an underground following. Not everybody's heard of Moon Knight, but the people who have are immensely big fans. And they're doing a series. It's going to be on Disney Plus.
So he's like multiple personalities?
Yes, and he's pseudo anti-hero. So I want to wait and see how this turns out. But I think that it's going to be a fun series.
Okay. Then we have She-Hulk.
Yep, which I'm interested to see what they do with this. There's rumors it might be animated. Or
I haven't seen the details on that yet.
I don't know.
I think they can do a lot more with animated in this situation, but also I'm really curious, the more business side of things, how the rights working with this, because Universal still has the distribution rights for Hulk and the related things, which means they're related things.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious how this weasels its way out.
Well, I mean, you wonder if there's a Hulk series. I almost hope it is live action. If we're going to see some Incredible Hulk in there because they're cousins.
True.
So,
and will it be Ruffalo?
Yeah, and that'd be
if
fantastic.
it is live action.
Yeah, and the other thing that you have to wonder is which She-Hulk are we going to get? You know, there's two. Technically, and you have your African American She-Hulk and you have the Caucasian She-Hulk, and they are both lawyers, which is kind of an interesting thing. She's not like Hulk, Hulk smash.
Yeah, she's intelligent while
she's Hulk. So, and she's also at one point or another is a member of the Avengers, which I think all this keeps gearing up towards, I think, an end game of doing a new Avengers, and having a lot of those teammates on there, which would be like She-Hulk, Ant-Man's daughter. I mean, several characters that I've already seen pop up in the Marvel series that we're probably going to see play bigger roles down the road. So,
and I'm curious, even though it's Disney Plus, not everything on Disney Plus is MCU canon. Obviously, What If isn't. So I'm curious, they're going to start saying this is canon, this isn't canon.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say these are canon. And I mean, I haven't read into this exclusively yet, but I will say this. Only thing so far that has not come out as canon is What If. And the reason for what If is, in fact, it's an animated series, but it's the fact that it is a what if.
If She-Hulk's animated, then it probably won't be canon.
Not necessarily true, because you look at Disney, the animated series is for Disney. Star Wars are all considered canon. Rebels and Clone Wars are all considered part of the canon storyline.
Clone Wars to be fair, Clone Wars was done pre-Disney.
Yeah.
But you never know. I'm just curious to find out if they start marketing these things that way or not.
Yeah, it's possible that they might say, hey, this is not. But I'm actually more interested in Peggy Carter, because Peggy Carter is going to be coming out on Disney Plus.
Yeah, that was good.
But there was also a Peggy Carter on Netflix, and I
think that one's not.
Yeah, well, and see, that's what I'm wondering is because the Netflix series, none of them were crossed over. In fact, Feige's actively did stuff in the movies to thwart that. And there was a little bit of friction there, and
the closest one I think might have been Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they actually had Samuel Jackson come in as Nick Fury on that episode.
Yeah, but you got to look at the things that Feige did to kind of thwart all that. I mean, you've heard about this, right? Like, they're like, oh, we're in this series, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Feige's like, that's okay, they're all actually Hydra agents. And then it was like, oh, we're going to do this, and it's like, oh, I'm going to do that. And he deliberately would do things in the storylines of the movies to kind of counterbalance what was going on, because it wasn't part of, I guess, his master plan for what was going on with the Marvel Universe. And so now that Disney's got Disney Plus, they've separated from Netflix, and Netflix isn't doing any more of the Marvel series. Disney's going to be taking all that on their own under their flagship Disney Plus. Peggy Carter's the only one so far that there was a series at Netflix, and now there's going to be series. I'm wondering if it's going to be direct continuation, if they're going to end up saying that this is all canon, or if they're like, that didn't happen, just this.
And will Chris Evans have a cameo?
Oh, I'm sure at some point, there's going to have to be.
Yeah. Because obviously when he went back and got married to her, it's a different timeline, so they don't have to do that.
No.
Otherwise, she can, at the end of each episode, have her coming back home and say, hi, honey, I'm home. It's Captain America sitting there like, okay, I'm not going back out in the world.
I got to stay hidden.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, so we'll see what happens with all that. But there's a lot of stuff coming out. We got WandaVision, which obviously is still coming out.
I heard that the trailer on that one that they got to show at D23 was very interesting. It's basically, it was like a I Love Lucy, Dick Van Dyke kind of feel to it, as far as like old school sitcom, and then a bunch of other stuff, and the little Rambo, the girl from Captain Marvel, is in it as a grown up now, and also we got the other girl that was in Thor and Thor 2, not Natalie Portman, but the friend.
Yeah,
and I'm completely blanking. It'll come to me in a minute. But she's going to be in that too. And this looks like Wanda is going through some really tough times, and looks like she's kind of using her powers to kind of kind of deal with it by creating kind of some false realities around her. But I think in the comics she even created like magic children
Oh, and in the comics, I mean, it's like one of those things. A lot of people don't even really understand her powers who just watch the Disney movies because they don't really understand how incredibly powerful Wanda is, and she can alter reality at will. And so, yeah, in the comics, there's a lot of things that happened. One of the really famous ones is the House of M, which is an X-Men arc because Wanda and Quicksilver are actually the son and daughter of Magneto, and so she changes everything, and so the whole universe changes, and that's the world that the comics are now, And so in this, there's a lot of things that they can do because literally Wanda can create whatever she wants. Yeah. So
it looks like to me one of the oddest of the ones that they're coming out with, just because of that. I'm really interested in seeing it.
Yeah, I've heard it's going to be really acid trippy, which is going to be good, and apparently it's going to have a lot leading into the new Doctor Strange film, which is I'm really excited about. So.
Yeah. And Darcy, I believe, is the name of that character, by the way. I can't believe I forgot that for a second. We also have, obviously, they released kind of a bit of an early tease for the Black Widow coming out next year. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Also, we have Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Marvel.
Yeah. and this is something else that I think is interesting that Marvel is doing, because you have a lot of your old school characters and these old school storylines, like for instance Civil War and things like that they've kind of incorporated into the movie series. And then you have relatively newer characters.
She's within 10 years old.
Yes, that they're introducing now into this universe, which is good. But she's, and I think it'll get a lot of the readers and stuff. I think that's a big stretch. It's trying to get a lot of the readers of these comics involved in going to the series. They're like, and go and watch the movies. They're like, hey, this is the character I read. Why haven't they made a movie of them yet?
Yeah. Also, they're diversifying. It'd be Marvel's first main Muslim.
Yeah.
Pakistani American, according to the comic books. She holds Captain Marvel in high esteem, kind of like a role model.
Yeah.
And so kind of where she gets ideas for the name. And she's also, this is what I'm finding is interesting, is has shape-shifting abilities.
Yes.
And is an Inhuman, which was introduced in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. but hasn't been established in any other MCU canon yet.
Well, there's the Inhumans series that came out.
That's right.
The Inhumans series came out. It was. It's not a surprise that you missed it.
Yeah.
It did not do.
You said it. The second you said it, I'm like, yeah, I remember that. I'm hearing about that somewhere.
In fact, it was weird the way they did that. The director really fought to get it. It was something that really should have probably been stopped and wasn't. They actually did a showing of it. The opening was done in IMAX, filmed like IMAX, so in 3D, and it was actually the opening series was released in movie theaters first, with a very limited release, and then the series came out later. I actually just got around to watching it not too long ago.
Is it part of the MCU though?
It's not. Well, it's not going to be considered canon because it's like one of those Netflix originals.
That's what I was thinking, kind of like a S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, so I guess at some point before Miss Marvel comes out, they're going to need to establish the Inhuman thing. Either that, or they're going to have to retcon how she got her abilities.
Well, I'm sure that they'll touch on all that in the Eternals. I'm sure that they'll go into that there. So, but the Inhumans series did not do well, and it was very short-lived, but it has been kind of touched on. But yes, she's one of the Inhumans. Okay. So.
Then that about covers it. Oh, they also announced Black Panther 2. That I think covers it on the main Marvel announcements besides what we previously had from Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Phase 4 looks amazing. I can't wait for startup. We still have about 9 months until another movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And then but we can't talk about this without going into their other major franchise that they've purchased. That'd be Star Wars.
Yep.
We've already done a short video where we went into stuff about the Rise of Skywalker and the Mandalorian, but we haven't really talked a lot about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series, which they have now got.
At D23, he came out on stage and was like, hello there.
Yeah, so we're getting Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's one of the best parts about the prequels.
It is, and he was, in my opinion, the savior of the prequels, just because his acting was so good compared to everybody else's. Well, it was just amazing.
To be fair, there are some great actors in that. I mean, Samuel Jackson, Ian McDermott, Natalie Portman. There's some fantastic actors in the prequels. They were given scripts and dialogue written by Lucas.
Yes.
That's, I think, the problem.
Oh, yeah. I agree entirely. Nothing against any of those people.
Out of that, the dialogue for Obi-Wan wasn't too bad. I mean, a lot of one-liners, but it wasn't as bad as it wasn't just as like, oh my god, I can't believe they said that.
Oh, I mean, I won't lie. It's like I like to knock on the prequel series a lot about how the chemistry wasn't there between, you know. A lot of the
Christensen and
characters,
Portman,
there just wasn't the good chemistry there between a lot of people, and that it didn't mesh well in a lot of places. But there's gold in there. I mean, to this day, sometimes I will put on Revenge of the Sith, and I will fast forward to that last lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin. I love that. I love that. So that. I loved you, and it's like I have the high ground. Oh, they're like going nuts, and it's a great fight sequence.
The end battle of Attack of the Clones, the opening battle sequence of Revenge of the Sith in space is good. I mean, a lot of the battle sequences are good. The Darth Maul fight was great.
Oh yeah, it's just some of it was just.
You just had to get around the Jar Jars and the sand.
I still have my whole thing about the Jar Jar theory. The Jar Jar theory, I think, is fantastic. I still think that was probably what was going to happen, and then George Lucas got spooked because everybody hated him so much, and he's so willing to just bend the rules and change things last minute that he was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Segue back to Kenobi. This takes place apparently after Revenge of the Sith and before A New Hope, and therefore also Rogue One, which are only hours apart. Mm-hmm. And so all we know for sure, because the extended universe has gone bye-bye, is that Obi-Wan brought Luke as a baby to aunt and uncle on Tatooine. Mm-hmm. And then we next see Kenobi, old man Colt Kenobi on Tatooine when Luke is 17. Yeah. So we have a good 17-year period. We don't really know his story. I think we always assumed he just was a hermit on Tatooine hiding out from the Empire.
But the series
gives a great chance to show what shenanigans he's up to.
Yeah, I never assumed that he stayed there because he can't keep an eye on both of them. He can't assume that Bail Organa is going to just do everything perfect, not to mention the fact that he's not a Jedi. So if something happens, how is he going to protect Leia for real? So I always assumed that, he kind of bounced around still, especially in those younger years, like after everything first happened. I assume he was
checking on other Jedi,
checking to see if any other Jedi survived, anything about the Jedi temples or precious books that he could have saved and hidden away somewhere.
Sleep over at Yoda's.
Yeah, he knows that Yoda's still out there somewhere, and Vader is obviously looking for him, so there's a lot of possibility for gold here.
And there's even a chance, this just came to my head, they could still have Chewie in this time period, or Han, obviously, the actor from the movie available. And I was thinking to the cantina scene, he seems to meet up with them. He doesn't actually say I just met them, or he's like, I found some people to book with. There's a possibility they may have met before.
Yeah, and that would be cool.
Especially with Chewie, because then you don't have to do the whole verbal dialogue thing about it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there's a lot of possibilities, and there's a lot of things that...
You just cannot own a droid.
Yeah. There's a lot of things we just haven't seen yet in these series, and I'm looking forward to it. But I am excited. There's been a lot of, I say trash talk. A lot of people out there who are like, do we really need another series on the Skywalker, story arc, and other people who are kind of like, hey, why is everybody so excited about Obi-Wan? They weren't as big hyped over the Solo film.
Mainly Ewan McGregor.
But Ewan McGregor is a fantastic actor.
If they said that they were going to do this recast, I'd be like, let me know if it's any good. I'll catch up with it later.
Yeah, but Ewan McGregor did such a great job, and I think he brings a lot to this. And I'm glad that they were able to get him, and I'm excited. I'm excited about Disney Plus. I haven't been excited about a streaming network like this because literally everything that's coming out is right up my alley. It's all like Star Wars and
Disney bought your childhood.
Disney, yeah, bought my childhood. It's all Star Wars and Marvel superheroes. So of course I'm going to get it.
Circling back to Spider-Man for a second, all they need to do is just buy out Sony, and then they got everything.
don't.
3, 2, 1. They just bought this house now. What else we got coming out? We have The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Have you heard much about this?
I haven't heard a whole lot about it. I love Jeff Goldblum, though.
Yeah. Every few years he pops up, and it's fantastic.
And he plays Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. as Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum. I mean, like all those roles are the same pretty much, but it's always a hoot to watch. And then they talked about the new Cruella live action coming out.
That'll probably do well. Same thing in
Maleficent 2 is coming out. Yeah, so that,
High School Musical 37.
Whichever one of that's out. Yeah.
Roy the Last Dragon. That looks like it might be kind of good.
There's another, what was it, Onward?
Yeah.
Tom Holland voices in that. And so does Tom Holland and, is it Chris Pratt?
I believe so.
One of the Chris's.
Tom and Chris.
Yeah, is in that a voiceover work. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Frozen 2, obviously, later this year.
Yeah.
New stuff there.
Disney's on track for another fantastic year.
Have you seen the release poster for Lady and the Tramp, which is a Disney Plus release movie, but not a theatrical release? Have you seen the trailer? Or not the trailer, the poster release?
I've seen the poster, I haven't seen the trailer.
Sorry, I don't think there's a trailer, but there's a poster. And they use real dogs, and they cast rescue dogs. I wonder what the casting is like. Not grizzly enough. Get the next dog. Sorry, Poochie. Meanwhile, Disney could fund every single dog pound in the country.
Yeah.
But anyway, they at least they use some dogs, and they use live action dogs as opposed to the Jon Favreau style of filming.
Mm-hmm.
But in that poster, they have like either CG or human eyes. And not dog eyes. So they basically redid the eyes to get the acting, the emotion out of the dog eyes. And it looks, I don't know, it's a little slightly unsettling.
It doesn't bother you that much?
It was a little bit. I was like, I don't need a lady with Alita eyes. On a real dog.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. Obviously, they had to make this version a little bit more PC. The Siamese cat song is pretty much out.
Shameless.
Yeah, I was like, well, if they ever redo the Peter Pan animated Disney, that movie's gonna be 5 minutes long when they take out everything out of that movie. That's now not approved.
You know how I feel about PC stuff. People need to just get over it. It's.
Well, you remember that Peter Pan movie?
Oh, I do. Yes.
Smoking. The one the song is "Why Is the Red Man Red?"
Yeah.
They can take that one out.
We can go back even further in Disney's past, and we can pull up another
Song of the South.
Yep. Then what's the one on the boat? It's never been released.
Song of the South.
Song of the South. That's it. Yeah.
Only people hear that one is the Zippity Doodah.
Yeah.
They said they will never release that.
They're like, hey, what about the rest of the movie? Isn't that a good movie? Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, they actually released it internationally, but not here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just because people get so worked up about and so polarized about things. We don't want to get into politics or anything on this show, but I mean, just everything's so polarized. People get so worked up about stuff. This is entertainment, folks. Movies and music are entertainment. You should be entertained. And if you're just so worked up about it, then I don't know.
Don't.
don't. No. But no, that kind of stuff always bothers me a little bit when people get so worked up about things that it's meant for entertainment. And times change. Things that are now totally, off-putting, our kids are probably like, why are they so worked up about that?
Yeah.
So,
swinging back to the last thing I haven't actually heard anything about in a while is New Mutants. Sony made that movie, and I think Disney has put it 6 feet under.
Yeah, I'm very irritated.
Have you heard anything about it having any kind of release? Even on streaming would be nice.
No.
Originally, it was meant to be a theatrical release.
It was a theatrical release. It was going to be horror genre, and it looks fantastic. And if they'd left it be. Because... basically the New Mutants is a bunch of young mutants who don't really know about their powers, and they're trying to figure them out. And in a setting of like a mental hospital, it sounded fantastic. The actors that they picked were very good. The characters are characters who I love. The New Mutants were fantastic. If you really follow the mutants in the Marvel comics, it was a series that started off was really great. Xavier had helped start this group, and it directly leads into the creation of X-Force with Cable, and then you get Deadpool, and you get Domino, and you get so many of these great characters that all bleed in from this original New Mutant series, which has a ton of great characters. It looked great. From what I saw from it, I was super excited about them. In fact, I was probably more excited about going and seeing that film than a lot of the other Marvel stuff coming out. And
definitely better than Dark Phoenix.
Yes, and then it just just got dropped like a bad habit, and I mean a lot of it was because it was dark and R-rated, and so they were trying to PG-13 it, and they were...
And doesn't factor into how Disney's going to roll out mutants.
Yeah, and so we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm hoping at some point, somehow, I can get a copy of this. Anybody out there who has a copy of this New Mutants movie should send it to me.
It's deep in a Disney vault right now.
I really want to see it. Just really, really bad.
Yeah, they keep pushing back the release date. So we'll see if they ever do anything about it. Hopefully they just drop it on a streaming at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things I feel like it can't get kept secret forever. And if it was anybody else that had it, I would say at some point it would come out and we'll get to see it. I'm really terrified that we might not actually ever see this film because Disney has it and we know how Disney is. Yeah. So that being said, the fact that it is a little darker film, they've already said now that the new Disney, they're going to be releasing stuff that, like, for instance, Deadpool and stuff that will still have that same kind of humor line and things of that nature. Rating. So, and the same rating. So.
Yeah, basically the only thing of the original X-Men series from Fox are keeping going is Deadpool because it makes so much money.
Yeah.
And there's no way of redoing it without killing the entire thing.
No, and the thing is it's great because the character breaks the fourth wall of how easy it is to slap it into something else and make it hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be really easy for Deadpool to be like, "Can you believe they did this to me?" Yeah. It's like, look at where we are now, and bam, and you just roll with it.
But yeah, there's no way that they could completely redo Deadpool. But okay, we're completely restarting you over in the MCU. They're just better off just keeping his own thing for now.
Yeah,
and it might work well into it, but then at the same time, then it calls unless they do like a some time travel changing dimensions thing from his X-Men Fox dimension to the new Marvel dimension. That's really the only way they could actually do it without indirectly tying in all the other X-Men movies that he's kind of linked to.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about it, the Deadpool movies, the only way they're really linked to anything is a handful of characters. I mean, you got
the X-Men Mansion.
Yeah, the X-Men Mansion. But I mean, in the X-Men Mansion, there's a quick little door swing, like Can't Afford Any Other Mutants, where you see some of the characters.
And the physical mansion itself.
That's and the physical mansion itself. But Colossus, but he looks vastly different in that film than he did.
Several characters got reconned throughout the.
Yeah, so, Supersonic Teenage Warhead, she did a great job, and there's going to be no problem crossing her into the mutant storyline if they want to. Other than that, we got Cable. And let's just be honest, Marvel has a great relationship with Josh Brolin. So I don't see it being an issue with all the makeup and everything if they use that same character again going forward and maybe doing an New Mutants movie or future X-Force movie. Using him wouldn't be an issue. So no. I don't think it's... I think that part of the saving grace for Deadpool also is the extremely small cast.
That does help. Well, I think that wraps up. The only other news I could even think of that they dropped at D23 is some upgrades at Epcot. But that's not really our forte, so we'll just move on past that. Well,
I was just going to say real fast, here we're going to kind of wrap up, but tune in for one of our future videos. We actually are going to cover some things outside of just watching films, like some other nerdy things that we're into that we'll do some videos about. So yeah,
stay tuned and we'll keep putting out new content. And until then, thanks for watching, and please remember to subscribe.